All right, I think we are ready.
Call the roll.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean. But before we do that, just let everybody know this is the April 14th, 2020 regular session of the Mason City School Board. We are opening regular session here on Zoom. We'll call the roll and I'll let Sean take it away.
Mr. Galvin?
Here.
Mrs. Yingling?
You got to unmute, everybody unmute for the roll call real quick.
Sorry, thought I was unmuted. I'm here.
Mr. Wise?
Here.
Mr. Steele?
Here.
Mrs. Batchy?
Desiree, I think you're still muted. Let me see if I can fix that.
I don't see her. Does everybody else see her?
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, here.
All right, first item here on the agenda, we are looking to enter into an executive session for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, or compensation of public employees or officials, preparing for or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, matters required to be kept confidential, federal law or regulations or state statutes. These are the reasonings found in Ohio Revised Code section 121.22. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sean, call the roll.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Not hearing Sean.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
5-0.
All right. And as we enter into executive session, there will be an image that comes up for anybody who's watching live, following us along. We are intending to reconvene into regular session at approximately 7 p.m. So we will see you back here at this link. We do ask if you could bear with us. This is our first school board meeting using this platform. We are like everybody else during this crazy time trying to make the best of this situation and circumstances. So we appreciate your patience and we will be reconvening approximately 7 p.m. Thank you.
So everyone can then log off of here and we'll jump into our executive meeting, and you have all the information, I think, sent to you.
Hello?
Hey, Todd, I heard you.
All right, I'm testing my audio.
Oh, okay. I turned off the phone. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes? Okay.
You're able to hear me okay?
You look very official, Todd.
I know, where are you?
My office, it's the only place quiet in this world.
Everybody's audio working okay? Great. Dean, can you hear us okay?
Yep, everything's good.
Great.
All right, do we have everybody?
Charles, I was looking, is Connie, are you on here?
She is. I see her down there.
Okay.
And
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Connie. And
Okay,
maybe just if I could get either a hand wave, either on your screen, just to confirm you guys can all hear me.
Yep.
Dean, are we ready to go?
Yep, you're live.
Great, thank you. All right, we are in the April 14th, 2020 regular session of the Mason City Schools Board of Education. We've actually been in executive session since earlier in the meeting, and we are moving on to item number 3, reconvening to regular session of our agenda. So do I have a motion to reconvene to regular session?
So moved.
so moved. Second.
All right, Sean. Do we need to call the roll, Sean? Or?
Yeah, Mrs. Yingling,
Yes.
Mr. Wise,
Yes.
Mr. Steele,
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy,
Could somebody unmute Desiree?
Yeah, we're working on.
Oh, sorry.
I don't see her. Do you see her?
I see Desiree.
There you go, Desiree. You should be good now.
Am I good now?
Yes,
Yes.
there we go. All right.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll reiterate before we move on to the next item, I'll just reiterate, thanks everybody in advance for your patience, like all the other local governments and public bodies in the state and probably around the country. We are getting accustomed to the new circumstances of carrying on public business amidst a pandemic. So bear with us. We appreciate your patience as we work through these technical challenges. And with that, item number 4 on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you join me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands,
one
one
nation
Nation,
under
under God,
indivisible,
God,
liberty and justice.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The next item on our agenda, item number 5, resolution for continued school operations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? And for this portion, Jonathan, would you mind kicking things off for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Charles mentioned at the beginning of our meeting, this is a unique time for all of us. And I'll double check as well, just to make sure you can all hear me. So a thumbs up will be fine to make sure that my sound is working accurately and correct. Okay, good, good. One of the things that we have been thinking through as school districts across the state of Ohio is how do we continue to make decisions as changes are coming to us on almost a daily basis. So as you know, every day at 2 o'clock, we get new updates from the governor, as everybody else does. And that brings on, it's helpful because it's transparent. We know what's going on, but it also causes us to be ready for agile change at any point in time. So the resolution that we're asking the board to consider and vote on tonight really goes through some of the things that we have been working through as well. And we only pass resolutions when we feel like they're needed. So we'll just, you can see in this section 1 of the resolution, just talks about when schools were closed physically. So the buildings are closed. Obviously school is still open and we've moved to remote learning experiences. And so section 2 of this just lays out the fact that we have moved into a different delivery than our traditional delivery of learning. So learning has moved from a physical brick and mortar building to an online and a remote learning. So students are being asked to do things on a regular basis, and our teachers have done a fabulous job. So that lays out where that can be found. You can find more information on the website listed on the resolution, and it's at mcscovid19.com. So we invite people to go there and click on remote learning to learn more about what that really looks like. Section 3 of this is just adopting, looking at our grading practice. And we had, you know, with 40 days left of this year, we have the opportunity to keep some of the grading practices in place that we've had, but we also had to make some adjustments because we also want to be realistic with our students and our families as they are journeying through this together for the first time with remote learning. So we are adopting some new grading approaches. We have sent that out to our families, so our families have that document. We sent that out, I believe, Friday for their review and to help students and families understand what that looks like. Our graduation requirements is section 4 on this resolution, just pointing out that when students are on track, and this is a part of what the governor has put out for us as well in guidance and the Ohio Department of Education, when a student is on track to graduate, when this went into effect, basically the principal and the team around that student determine that student is going to continue to stay on track to graduate. So that's part of this piece. The second piece of that graduation requirement is just that we have the flexibility to make sure that our students are prepared to continue to graduate at the end. So if for some reason a student is not on track, we have the ability to work with them with a support team in place to get them across the finish line and to make sure that our requirements are in alignment with the state requirements, because our requirements in Mason are a bit more than the state requirements, but we have the flexibility there to make sure that all of our students are graduating that are working hard at that. So I give a lot of credit to our high school team for doing that. Section 5, just addressing supplementals, depending on the result from what the state determines what will happen with spring sports. We're still waiting to learn more about that, but in the case that would change, we have some flexibility in how we approach supplementals moving forward in that section. Section 6 is addressing board meetings, and that's why we have this resolution up front in our agenda. It's just pointing out that we are moving from a physical environment for regular meetings to an online environment so that everyone that's tuning in and watching has the ability to continue to watch and participate in our board meetings in a different way. So that's what that is spelling out for us there. Section 7 is a resolution just stating that basically once this is adopted, this will go into effect immediately during the COVID-19 event. So that is what the resolution is laying out for us, giving us the flexibility, but also being transparent with our public on what we're doing. So hopefully that's helpful. Any questions that anyone has on that?
I'll just, real quick to start before I'll open it up to some of our other board members for commentary. For anybody who's watching live along at home, you can see the web address for our board docs agenda. You are able to go to our agenda virtually, and you can scroll down to this item in particular. Christine, I don't know if you're controlling the cursor on the screen that we're sharing right now, but if you would mind, just click that resolution that the public could click on, and that'll pull up the actual text of the resolution. This is something that the board has reviewed, and this is what Jonathan just summarized here. So for anybody that's interested in reviewing this more close detail, that is available to you to review. Jonathan, thank you, and Sean and the team for thinking through these issues and being proactive. I think that I speak for everybody on the board when I say that we're very grateful for your all's thinking 10 steps ahead throughout this unprecedented time for our community, and I believe this resolution will allow you all to continue to be nimble and responsive to the rapidly changing landscape that we're all dealing with right now.
Thanks, Charles.
So again, if we've got no other discussion amongst the board, I will kick it to Sean to call the roll on this resolution.
Mr. Wise,
Yes.
Mr. Steele,
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy,
Yes.
Mr. Galvin,
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling,
Yes.
5-0.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the superintendent's presentation.
Thanks, Charles and board. Each board meeting, we do have a superintendent presentation. Oftentimes, we bring in students to present or teachers to present, and maybe we will have that set up next time so we can have someone join us for our meeting. Since this is our first attempt at this, we thought we would capture that in video ahead of time. So we do have a short, about 5 or 6 minute video we would like to share with everyone. So I'll turn that over to, I don't know if it's Tracy or Christine, if one of you would go ahead and click on that. I assume that will just play through our system here.
These are extraordinary times, and while our buildings are closed, school is still open, because at Mason, we are not about the buildings. We've always been about the people.
Hey Mason, Hi family here, so I want to let you all know we miss you.
I know it's been tough, but don't worry.
We're all through this together.
Stay positive, stay Comet strong, and know that we will all get through this together.
We miss our friends, but we'll be together again soon. Stay Mason strong!
We miss seeing you in the hallways. I know this is a different time. Hang in there, stay stronger together, and stay MI strong.
We know this is a challenging time, but we will get through this together because we are Mason strong!
We miss you.
We can't wait to see you again.
We hope you are doing well. We're here if you need anything.
Hi everyone. We're really putting our Comet Kid characteristics to the test right now, but I know we're going to be Comet strong and get through this together. We're all really missing you and we care about you and we're here for you.
Good morning, Mason students and colleagues. I miss you. There is no substitute for in-person communication, but we will pull through this. We are Comet strong, and I will see you soon.
Even though we're not physically together,
we're all in this together.
I just wanted to wish you all the best in your quarantine, and I hope that everyone's still finding some ways to have fun.
We're going to make it through this with a lot of grace, a lot of laughter, and a lot of love from our friends.
Hi, Comet Country. We know that so many of you are being amazing superheroes right now, taking care of your families and our community. We want to say thank you to you for all that you're doing.
I know this is a tricky time and everyone's kind of confused, but keep being amazing and let's power through this.
Hey everybody. We sure miss seeing everyone, but we're going to get through this together.
We miss seeing everyone, but we know we're all going to get through this together.
We sure miss seeing everyone, but we're going to get through this together.
This is a very tough time for all of us, so be strong, stay tough.
Stay brave, stay safe, stay home.
Mason Comets, we can get through anything together because we are Mason strong.
Hi, Mason. We know times are tough right now, but we're going to get through this together.
Hi, everyone. I know this is a really, can be a scary time and also uncertain, but we can be brave together.
Hey, Comets, we miss you all so much. I'm hoping we can get together soon, but in the meantime, we know we can get through anything because we know what's right.
We miss seeing everyone, but we want to make it through together.
Life is a little different right now.
And that's okay, because we got this together.
In light of these unprecedented times, don't lose hope.
Joy. Commitment.
I definitely miss seeing everybody around, but I do have to say, if we're going to be going through a global crisis, I'm grateful to be doing it here with Comets.
We just want to encourage you and remind you that these tough days right now are going to bring us brighter days tomorrow.
We can't wait to see everybody again, but for now, do what we need to do to keep everybody safe.
Stay strong. We will get through this.
Stay strong. Don't flip out. We'll be back together soon.
Hi, I really miss everyone, and I want everyone to remember that now is a really important time for us to be persistent and resilient, and that we are better together.
Go Comets! Go Comets! Saw this coming.
Life has changed a lot in the last few weeks.
In times like this, the world can seem pretty scary.
Everything we thought we knew is different.
But a lot of things are the same.
Our friends,
our family,
our community.
We may not be together physically,
but we're still together.
In our minds.
And in our hearts.
We are still classmates.
Teachers,
administrators,
and staff.
Because Mason City Schools was never about classrooms,
stadiums, or science labs.
They were always about us.
And we are still Mason.
We are still Mason.
and we are in this together.
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 Run, Mason, run. We're on our way to victory. Go, Comets, go. We're gonna fight for the green and white. Today is our day. We're gonna run, fight, run, fight, run. Mason, Comets, victory, green and white. Go, team, go. Love you, Mason. Keep going strong. Bye.
We love you too, Coach Wheeler. So for our presentation today, thank you for watching along, and hopefully at home you're able to watch that video. We are Mason Strong, and we wanted to make sure that we're continuing to send that message to our public that we are stronger together, as our culture guide points out to us. So Charles and board, thank you so much for giving us a second to share that with you as our presentation today.
Jonathan, thank you very much for putting that together. Not just you, I know it was a very widespread effort to coordinate all those clips, and I happened to glance at the panel of screens. I think there might be some dust flying around amidst the rooms that people are in remotely, but yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if any other board members want to chime in as well.
I'll just say, I think you're keeping with the theme of me crying at board meetings. All of my kids' teachers this year that I've been, so sad that we're missing out on experiencing in-person, interaction with, were featured in that video. So that really got me. Well done, and a good reminder of, like Javar said, we were never about the buildings. We're never about the classrooms. We're about the people. We're still here. We're still connecting. Still, cultivating and expanding on relationships at the center of our learning. So fantastic display of that. Thanks for putting it together.
I thought that was a pretty good remote pep rally, if there is such a thing. Keeping people focused on the good things that we still have left.
Yeah, I would add to a big thank you for the producers that put that together to capture the spirit of what's going on now. And it's great to see so many faces that we haven't had a chance to see in a while. So great job, everybody.
Same from my end. I'm not a crier, but I don't know what it is about you, Jonathan, and you put together these presentations and they jerk tears out of my eyes. So that was awesome to see.
Well, I can't take credit for it. I think my team likes to see me cry. They've done it a few times this week. They'll catch me with something. So I give a lot of credit to Tracy for organizing that behind the scenes, but they know that this is definitely warms our hearts to see faces, as Kevin said, faces we haven't seen in a long time. So it was good to see that. So thanks, Tracy and team, for putting all that together.
All right. Moving on from the superintendent's presentation, the next item of the agenda is the hearing of the public. Now, obviously, if you are a regular attendee of our meetings, you are probably wondering how this is going to function with the current state that we're in. Frankly, we're all kind of new to this, and we are making the best of the situation that we can. So in an effort to still provide for members of the public to address the board, we would welcome any comments, any thoughts that you have, particularly as it pertains to the meeting you're watching tonight, but anything in general. You can email contact Mason at masonohioschools.com. And of course, we also have our board member emails are also on the website as well, if you'd like to email us individually. But again, it's contact Mason at masonohioschools.com. We will all review your commentary. We apologize that we don't have the physical room that we typically would to allow people to address us in that forum, but hopefully we're able to share the same space again soon enough. And so moving on from our hearing of the public portion, we have item number 8, administrator commentary.
Thanks, Charles. And with the public hearing, once we receive those, and they can put in the subject line board meeting, I think, so that we make sure that we're capturing that and then sharing that out with all of the board members within the next 24 hours, so everybody sees that. Okay, so as we move into hearing of administrator commentary, just to frame this for everyone. So here's what we're going to try to do. We have a document that's guiding us along. And so if my team could kind of follow the order of the document just to keep us in order so that we're not talking over each other, I'll try to maybe make a comment between each of them just to transition us. And what we'd like to do tonight for the board and for our public is, because we've had to transition our entire model and organization overnight, we thought it would be good to hit pause and to recognize what is that looking like in each of the departments, because there's a lot of work behind the scenes. You saw the video of we're stronger together and the smiling faces and we're going to do this. Now it's how are we actually doing this? And so we'd like to share a little bit about that tonight. So I've asked all of our executive team members who are just outstanding. Lauren Gentine in the video said, hey, if I'm going to go through a pandemic, this is the place to be to do that together. And I would say this is the place to be to do anything, because you have such great team members to go through that. So I'll turn it over, and Amy, if you would start us, and then we'll just go through our team and give an update. And I would ask the board, if you have questions at the end, we'll pause at the end, and then you can ask any questions that you might have to any of our members, if that's okay.
Great. Well, good evening, everybody. It's great to be with you, if only virtually this evening. I wanted just to take this opportunity to provide some background information and overview of our approach to remote learning. A little bit about our process and what that has looked like for our learners and our families, and then sort of what's next, or what we anticipate is next. So, you know, in Mason, you've heard of the whole E plus R equals O equation before. And certainly, you know, a pandemic and school closure and turning to remote learning quickly was a pretty big E for us to respond to, and an unprecedented event really for all of us. So really, before I jump into our plan, just huge amounts of kudos to our learning experience team, which has really taken the lead in re-envisioning teaching and learning for our learners and doing it in a really meaningful way and thoughtful way. We're so fortunate to have them here in Mason, and to our all of our educators and our families and students for just really adjusting and adapting along the way. So as our learning experience team recognized that we would be shifting to a remote learning model for some period of time, our goal really has been to continue to provide the high quality and meaningful learning opportunities that our families expect and deserve. And to do that for our students in a way that also reflected an understanding that our families were juggling multiple responsibilities during this time, many of them trying to work from home while also then taking on the new responsibility of helping their students learn, and being really understanding of that reality. So a few guiding principles for our team as we designed our approach to remote learning were to act with empathy for our learners and for our families, understanding that it's not just the time that may be a challenge, but they're going through a whole range of different experiences through this time period. That we really wanted to, and it's important that we maintain the learning momentum and the wide variety of supports that we offer our students, whether these are students with IEPs, students who receive reading support, English language support, gifted services, that learning continues even though our buildings are closed. And to build on those strong relationships that you saw in the video, those human connections that are so vital to teaching and learning. So as we did that, we took a three-phase approach to our launch. We first took a pause, which allowed some time for our learning experience team to do some very quick research and learning from those districts around the world that have turned to remote learning before us, and from what best practices say about an online remote learning model. And at that time shared resources with our families to continue the learning momentum at home. So we had sort of a learning phase and then a testing phase where we were able to make sure our systems were working for families before launching with new content. And so we're now in that launch and implement phase. We're in week 2 of our full implementation. So a little bit about what our model is and what it looks like for our families. It is an online model. We're so fortunate again, and Christine will talk a little bit about our incredible tech team who are able to get devices and help our families make sure that they have access to internet, which is just really a wonderful gift to have here in our district. So we have an online model that's asynchronous, which means that students are never expected or required to be online at the same time as their teachers, but we offer opportunities for them to be. So there are office hours, what we call Comet Connect time, for students to get support and ask questions from teachers, or just to connect. So at the younger grades, that might look like a morning meeting online where students and teachers can just have that togetherness that they may be seeking. Our focus is on our key learning standards, recognizing that we will not, and we'll not be able to cover every bit of content in the same way that we would if we were face-to-face. But our teachers are really focusing on what is most important for this part of the school year for students to be exposed to. We thought it was really important to use our existing technology and systems, that there's so much change during this time. It was not the time to introduce all sorts of new online tools and systems. So to the extent possible, we're relying on what teachers and students already know and are familiar with. To continue our student support services to the greatest extent possible. So every student who has an IEP has had their intervention specialist reach out and develop a remote learning plan for that student. Our reading specialists, our English learner teachers, our gifted teachers are continuing to offer those supports to students. And we really recognize, and this is a big one, that our model needed to be responsive to feedback. This is new for everybody. We're sort of reinventing what does teaching and learning look like, not just an online school, but an online school during a pandemic. And so we knew that we would do our very best to get it right out of the gate, and then we would need to adjust and adapt based on the feedback from our students and our families, because it is new for all of us. So as we look at kind of what's going on now and our current challenges and reality, our biggest challenge, well, two challenges that we're working through. One is really to continue to respond to feedback, to work with families for what works for their learners, and understanding that every family situation is different. And then it's ensuring the engagement of each of our learners. So I'm glad to say we have 99% of our learners engaging in remote learning, which is really a phenomenal number and speaks a lot to the team, our building level administrators, our teachers, and all the work they've done to reach out to our students and our families. We want 100%, of course. And so now it really is about that individual problem solving with families, using all members of our building teams, our counselors, our administrators, our teachers to really reach out and do that problem solving to get those other students connected and learning. So we are all learners through this. We're all in it together. Our video captured that so well. So I want to, before closing, just give again a huge shout out and thanks to our learning experience team, our LEDs, our learning experience supervisors, Donna B. Miller and Chrissy Huffnagel for their invaluable supports to our staff. And then also huge thanks to our families, our students, our teachers who have just been so willing to kind of be on this journey and work through it with us, alongside us, and give that grace and patience and continue to adjust and adapt as we learn more. So that's the big picture of our remote learning experience. And I'll be at the end. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. We have additional information on our mcscovid19.com site as well. And lastly, kind of shifting gears, just a quick note, our Student Achievement Committee continues to meet. We will have our April meeting as scheduled tomorrow virtually. And then again on May 20th is our last meeting of the school year.
Amy, thanks so much. As you can see, schools are not closed. They are very much open, and Amy just in a nice succinct way just laid out a very, very comprehensive approach to learning, and Amy and her team and their leadership along with their teacher leaders have done an absolutely fabulous job of influencing not only our thinking and how we approach this with a learner-driven approach, but it's also been something many districts have used to guide their thinking and how they're approaching this as well. So thank you, Amy, and to your team. We'll go to Todd. Do you mind updating us, Todd, on what's going on in your world?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cooper. You know, I consider myself a blessed leader as we sit here tonight. I have an outstanding team in the world of operations, and I want to spotlight first Child Nutrition Services led by Tamara Earl. We have, as of Friday, served over 6,000 meals. By the end of this week, we'll be close to 7,000 meals. And just the flexibility that's taken place throughout the process of serving now in 3 different places, Mason Intermediate, St. Vincent de Paul, and Western Row. It's just this team's willing to shift each week to make sure we meet the needs of every single child. I'd also like to recognize our mental wellness department led by Nicole Furman. She's done an outstanding job working with some of our homeless students, some of our students that have different needs that need assistance at this time, to where our counselors, teachers, they'll go out and do what they've got to do to make sure the needs of kids are met. Another process that we are in full steam ahead with, while I don't want to just read all that through tonight, it is a 7-step process that through collaboration, we've worked with the building principals, curriculum team, and attendance team. So it's worked out really well. But the piece I like about it most is that connection between the teacher and the student. The first contact's always made by the teacher. Also, online registration in the enrollment center. Typically, we're used to having all face-to-face communication with people during enrollment. Now everything is online. So that group of people led by Sherry Ballman has totally adjusted, and we're in the process of reviewing various online solutions as we speak. And hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have one of those up and running. Facilities Committee will resume next week, April 23rd at 8 a.m. Our Transportation Department, again, I can't say enough, led by Carolyn Thornton, and a true silver lining in this experience of COVID-19 is the simple fact our mechanics and some of our bus drivers are able to work in our garages and get all of our buses updated as they would in the summer. So we're really able to work double time to make that happen. Our transportation is actually delivering meals. We have 2 drivers that go out each day with a nutrition person. They're taking care of that. And you know, throughout all this, I would like to give a big thanks to Tanya McCall, our HR person. She and I have worked closely together for alternative jobs and all of the leave issues. Tanya's done an excellent job taking care of that. In addition, some of you have probably seen the Comet Connector bus, the birthday bus. Coolest thing I've ever seen in 24 years of doing this. And I have to give that credit to Tracy Carson. She thought that up with one of the teachers, and it has just come to play like something you wouldn't believe. I hope you get to see that out in the community. Our student item pickup process at Mason Intermediate, the middle school, and the high school starts this week. Eric Messer, Brandon Rompies, and Mark Merzanowski, we've worked together, and I tell you, the leadership from these gentlemen has been absolutely impeccable in the way that they've set this up, not only to allow kids input, to set times with their parents so that we make sure we're following the social distancing guidelines at all times. And lastly, our maintenance and custodial department led by George Highfield and Jerry Pennington. You know, safety, we probably say it 50 times a day. And right now, if you see any of our employees out in the buildings, they will have on masks and a glove religiously throughout the day. We have gone through different types of trainings to talk about how you can apply those, keep those safe. and germ-free. I would like to say, though, we are continuing to disinfect not only our school, but even the buses that deliver food. We have a Clorox 360 machine, is what it's called, that does an excellent job in disinfecting environments. And in this silver lining, if you will, we've been able to start summer cleaning already. So we're going through summer cleaning, painting, doing some different things that I'll be able to discuss next week at the Facilities Committee.
Todd, thanks so much for the update. As you can hear, there's not only processes in place, but processes that are keeping in mind that we are one of the businesses that it falls under the essential businesses. So we also follow the essential business model for the safety procedures. So Todd's done a nice job with his team making sure we have those in place. So thank you for the update, Todd. We'll move then to Christine.
Thank you, Jonathan. Well, as a leader of the culture team, it's never been more useful than it has during this pandemic. Adjusting and adapting and responding to an unprecedented event has really brought out the best in everyone, in my opinion. It's been such a wonderful display of community and care. But for my tech team, I have to say, they've done a remarkable job. After we made the announcement that we were closing down, they prepped 800 devices in a day and a half to get those ready for all of the students that didn't have a device at home to be able to come and get them. And they also, so after we did the first device distribution, we recognized, well, we also need a couple of more days. So we just weren't sure. We were adjusting every single day. And so then the principals, which I have to give them a lot of appreciation as well, because they said, we'll have them at our school so they can come to their community school, pick it up, or, and then they were able to do it very quickly. So they had kind of a drive-through model. So we had that social distancing. It was miraculous. So to date, we have distributed 1,312 devices since March 12th. So the team has, the tech team's done a remarkable job prepping. They work on it every single day and getting them ready. We have on Tuesday, or every day, Monday through Friday, we have 4 hours that anyone can come and pick up a device if they need it. And I have to also thank Todd's crew, because they are helping us to actually staff the pickup. So they're staffing so the technicians can be helping support the remote learning and all of the other technology needs that now everything relies on technology. So it is heightened the need for the technicians to really be solving technical issues versus waiting for people to come and pick up devices. So we've tried to use our employees to the best of our ability. One of the next things we did is we had a digital presence of the MCS COVID-19. We recognized we wanted to get information out. We wanted it to be viable information. We didn't want them to have to wade through a lot. So we wanted to be able to have the Department of Health, CDC, and all of the information that Jonathan, Tracy, and Amy, Todd, all of our services that we were offering for our parents, we wanted them to be able to find it quickly. So we wanted them to know how they could get food, how they could get assistance, how the remote learning would work in a way that would be fast for them. So we started that site, which also led to an additional need that we heard from our principals for family safety. So we also designed an online safety course. So for families, designed to help them figure out how they can help their children stay safe online. So it talks about securing your internet so that, for instance, you can turn it off at 9 p.m. and turn it back on at 6 a.m. So your kids are actually sleeping and getting the sleep that they need. Other ways, talking about cyberbullying and all of the things that can happen online, but not in a frightful kind of way, but in a conversational kind of way, a way that you could engage with your child. One of the next things then we worried about was internet access. So in order to solve that, one of the things that we did is, first of all, we started to publicize Spectrum's offer. So they offered free internet, but we did have some families that if you have any unpaid bills with Spectrum, they didn't honor that particular promotion. So we've installed external access points at our buildings, at 3 of our buildings. So MEC will be finished by Thursday. We have the high school, and then we have one at MEMI in the back. So they'll be able to come park in the parking lot or get out chairs and sit out there, and they can just connect to our Wi-Fi. So it was a way that we could systemically plan for the unexpected. Otherwise, you are taking care of one at a time. This enables us to help many at a time, and possibly even just families that might need some assistance right now and getting online to find a job or something else. So after this next wave, we'll see whose needs are not met through this, and then we'll go to the next layer of planning for anyone this does not serve. But this is our first strategy after the spectrum. And one of the other things we've done for safety is our internet filter used to only work online when they were in our facility. We changed that so that every school device is filtered 24/7. So it picks up mental wellness, anything that they're searching for, anything that they're emailing that are of safety concern, suicide concerns, different things like that. We get alerts. Our mental wellness team, back to what Todd was saying, they're incredible. They are on that immediately. That or the principals, the assistant principals, they're constantly contacting based on those alerts. So it's another way we are working to keep our kids safe. And lastly, we're constantly in the battle to figure out the best way to have virtual meetings. We get new guidance continually. If you've watched the news, you've probably seen it. So Zoom had some issues, and you have to configure it very specifically to make it very safe. So the guidance we received was that we shouldn't be using Zoom. Google Meet, then also, it has these little intricacies that are that can be problematic too. So then they give you a patch for this, and this is how you solve this problem. So we're continually trying to make sure that those holes are plugged to the best of our ability, that we are doing a cost benefit analysis with everything that we do, and trying to make sure that we aren't hampering and we're trying to maximize the resources, but also to protect our kids in the best way we can.
Thanks, Christine, and thanks for emphasizing the safety. And I will give Christine and her team a lot of credit, not just for responding quickly to getting devices out, but if you've not been to our MCScovid19.com, that is a completely brand new site built by Christine and her team. A lot of help from Tracy and her communication piece, and Amy's team in putting content, but just want to give you a lot of credit for that. Thank you. Let's go to Tanya with an update from HR.
Well, we've been focusing really on the human part of HR. We recognize that we're dealing with people before positions. So it's been really critical for us to spend time listening to staff concerns, answering questions, whether it's regarding employment, leave options, or any other needs that they might have. And also, with the introduction of the Family First Coronavirus Response Act, or FFCRA for short, MCS staff have additional leave options that help them to meet the needs during the governor's stay-at-home order. So my office has been spending a great deal of time working in conjunction with the Treasurer's Office staff to develop guidelines to assist them. And so while the implementation has had its challenges, the teamwork between the departments has really made us effective. And so I'd like to thank the members of the Treasurer's Office, specifically Sean and Cynthia Stubenval, Terry Ross, Crystal Clark, and Stephanie Howland for really helping us to put together those guidelines for administering FFCRA. And as Jonathan mentioned, schools are considered an essential business, so we've also been working with various supervisors to be really good stewards of the district's finances by ensuring that our staff is purposefully engaged while school is physically not in session. And so alternative work is being done throughout the district. For example, the district special education and English language learner aides have been working with their teacher partners to provide support to our students while they're learning remotely. Our nurses are using this time to start on typical summer work, such as updating medical files and even making masks for our district employees. Our child nutrition department has been focused, as Todd mentioned, on meal delivery, as well as facility deep cleaning. Our media center staff in several buildings are focused on reorganization of materials. Our transportation department is currently focused on inventory, building and school bus deep cleaning, And also several drivers are assisting with helping us, or will be starting to assist us in helping us clean out Western Row starting next week. I'd really like to thank the building principals, Jody Bergman, Milana Verbanova, Kathy Hager, Tamara Earl, and others who have really worked to help us get through this process. And they continue to adjust and adapt as we find new needs and realize that we need to shift what we're doing. Just a quick update on those alternative jobs. During our next phase of keeping our staff engaged in alternative work, MCS staff will move from working within their departments to more district needs. And so again, special thanks, as Todd mentioned, to Carolyn Thornton, George Highfield, head custodians, and Todd, who've worked to help us navigate through this process. Finally, my last update is about our partnership with MEA, or Mason Education Association. You know, throughout this process, it's been really great to be able to partner with our Teachers Association, and I'm really thankful for this relationship with Maria Mueller, which has been important to help us map out our understanding of changes and options that have been provided by the state. These impact a lot of key areas for us. Conversations that have really helped to reduce anxiety, as well as help us to come to some common ground.
Tanya, thanks so much for the update from your department, and thank you for working collaboratively with all of our employees. And thank you for mentioning Maria and the union and some of the collaboration we've had with them as well and their support through this process. Let's move to Sean. You want to give a quick update from your department?
Yeah,
wait,
sure.
sorry, Tracy, did I skip over you? I apologize. Tracy, two screens.
No worries.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. You know, at the beginning of this event, we were doing what everyone has been saying all along, a lot of adjust and adapt moments, what we call our R4 as part of our comic culture. And one of the big R4 moments as a community and a team that we had to do was when we learned about 10 hours before an election. That was a very critical one, and is a critical one for our school district, that we would not be able to vote in person, that the governor had and Dr. Acton's had a different order in mind for that. And so we listened and did a lot of planning, but also worked to collaborate, and thanks to the board as well, to come up with kind of an alternate plan than what the governor had initially proposed, that we felt like would still honor and keep Ohioans safe, but also would allow a district like Mason Schools, but also hundreds of districts who have really important issues on the ballot, to be able to make critical decisions. And as most of us know, in Mason, we do have $8 million worth of cuts that we were looking at trying to make this summer. The timeline initially proposed by the governor of June 2nd was just too late for that. And so big credit to our legislative partners, Senator Wilson and Representative Zellweger. Jonathan was talking with superintendents around the state for a kind of position that we had proposed, and we were grateful that Ohioans now have the ability to exercise their right to vote, so important, until April 28th, but that we can also do that safely, and so that was a big R4 moment. We have tried to, during this time, stick to our values of always communicating with our families transparently, that they can hear things from us first, and know that we're always going to be honest and a source of reliable. And so in the beginning, we were communicating more frequently. We are now, last couple of weeks, we've been communicating 3 times a week. This week, we are taking that down because the number of communications that our families are receiving is a lot from teachers, and they're juggling so many things. So we're now down to 2 times a week, and continuing to do that just to make sure that families feel connected in this time. And some of the ways that we're connecting as a community
just humble all of us. I know, you know, our staff aches not being able to see their students and connect, but boy, seeing some of the connections that have happened is just such a strong reminder of what a special community that we indeed have. Our Comet Cares efforts include this bus that is started out as a birthday bus, a vision. I was talking with one of our amazing Mason Intermediate School teachers, Whitney Decker, who had, you know, talked about, you know, for kids who are celebrating birthdays, it is hard to miss these milestones. And so from that gem of an idea, an incredible bus driver in our transportation department, thanks CJ Thornton, but Rebecca Bate, I have to give her a huge shout out, because we have had over 165 people sign up to have the Comet Connector bus, including, I just had someone tell me, over 25 families and one even particular neighborhood that they're all trying to do that. So Rebecca has done an incredible job of scheduling all of those things. And then we also have the folks who are caring for our most vulnerable comets. You know, our food service department is doing an amazing job with giving them even fresh fruits and vegetables that I got to see today. But beyond, we also have our Comet Cupboard led by Casey Moran, and Joshua's Place led by Kevin Payton, who have really stood in the gap for these families who need it right now and who are vulnerable. And so they are being taken care of with not just food, but also personal care items that are just critical. And finally, another one of those little milestones would be our for our juniors and seniors who are sad to be looking forward and to prom, one of those high school important moments. We are getting ready in the next 2 weeks to schedule volunteers in our community, have stepped up, volunteer photographers to take front porch prom pictures, just to give in this time, while we know we are losing things, we are also still trying to make some memories. And that Comet Connector bus, those front porch prom pictures are ways to do that. And our community is also serving us as staff. We did a call out after Governor DeWine's and the CDC's recommendations about wearing masks. We put out a need to have our essential staff who are out here working, coming to fix the food for children, cleaning our buildings, driving the buses. They needed masks. And boy, did our community respond. And just, you know, in an amazing way, we have over 400 masks already made by community members. And a special thank you to Stephen Fang, who is the principal of the Mason Chinese School. They just sent us today 100 additional masks. So many thanks to them.
Tracy, thank you for the update. I have right here a mask to show you what they look like. And we all have these now across, even with a little Mason green on there. So I think this might've been Deb Gentine or someone, I don't know who made that, but thank you so much. And Todd's got one there he's modeling as well. So thank you very much. Those are helpful. And then Tracy, you know, they talk about in real estate, it's location, location, location. In leadership and in school and crisis, it's communication, communication, communication. And Tracy's done a fabulous job of helping us every day with our rhythm of work. She reads through the communication we're sending to our families so that we can all look at that carefully with an eye towards empathy towards our families and our students, but also clarity so that we can bring calm to our community as well. So thank you, Tracy, for your update. I think now, Sean, go ahead.
Sure, just a few things to update on. First of all, I want to say thank you to a few of our fiscal office team members, Cynthia Stubenball, Terry Ross, and Missy Wilson. Again, a lot of the theme here has been adjusting and adapting, and they certainly have done that. And the place they have done that is in increasing the automation of some of our accounting processes. So we have moved pretty quickly to a paperless timesheet process. And they have done a lot of work behind the scenes to get that up and going. So I wanted to thank them and also thank the staff out in the district who have adjusted with us. It's been a little bit tougher to go through training processes and make sure we still have our good internal controls and all those things in place. And so my thanks to them for working hard on that. Second thing to update on is that we've been doing a lot of work to review the economic impacts, both current and projected into the future of this COVID-19 epidemic. We're seeing some increased costs in some areas. We're seeing some cost reductions in other areas. We're also seeing revenue losses in other areas. And so we're doing our best to track those and monitor those and incorporate those into our current numbers and into our future projections as well. One of the areas we've seen cost reductions in is an area where we've actually laid off 35 contracted staff members temporarily, and we'll look to bring them back in the future once we return to more normal daily operations. Another thing to update on is Tracy mentioned the change in timing of the levy. We are all continuing to make sure that we're prepared to move forward with the results of either the levy passing or the levy not passing. We have gone through processes for the last few months to make sure that we have scenarios to move forward with either way. And we are continuing to make sure that we're ready to do that and can move forward either way once we know the results of this election. The last thing to update on is that May every year is a time where we do approve a new 5-year forecast. We do it once in October, once in May. And so next month we will have a new 5-year forecast that we'll do our best to incorporate some of these impacts of COVID-19, whether it's on the revenue side or the expense side, and also look to incorporate the results of the levy election and be prepared to move forward either way.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate your summary there and update, and thank you for reminding us of the timelines that are out there. So last thing, I want to just update you on a few things, and then we'll try to keep it right in our time. If you notice, team, we're just right on time with that 35-minute mark. So nice work going through that. You're getting an update from the entire district in 35 minutes. So here's the last piece I want to just point out is one, going through a crisis with an amazing team, it makes all the difference. So I just want to just thank all the teammates that are on here. The work that you've heard them talk about has taken hours and hours of these kind of conversations online, flexibility, and just creative thinking. So I want to thank all of them for their work. I always want to reference anytime I have an opportunity to Comic Culture. You've heard us reference Comic Culture. If you've not seen the Comic Culture guide, it's on our website. You can find it. I might even tweet it out again tonight to remind you, but it's important because it guides decisions whether you're in a pandemic or not. And it helps us to have some guiding principles so that we're not running around trying to figure things out differently or acting differently. We want to be an authentic district that has good guiding principles that align with our beliefs. So just reminder of how important culture is to us and our culture specifically. And then just an inspiration from our community. Tracy mentioned some of these too. Our community is so generous, and that's one of the blessings of living in this area, living in Mason. But we put out there the idea that we wanted to support our local businesses. And I don't know if Scott Gibson is out there watching tonight, but we were texting back and forth when the governor made the announcement to close restaurants to carry out only. And I said, hey, let's meet over at Two Cities and let's just do something fun. I don't know what it will look like, but let's start something. Maybe, I don't know, comic carryout or something. And so we met over there, we took a picture, and from that, it's turned into a bit of a movement in 5 communities regionally. We're hoping to see it take off further, but in this area with the 5 communities, the carryout or community carryout option works like this. If you would like to go to Joshua's Place, their website, Joshua's Place, if you Google it, find their website, you can go to donate and you can click down. So if you're in Kings, you can do this. If you're in Mason, you can do this, but you go to Comic Carryout and you can donate there. And then what Joshua's Place does is they purchase Visa cards, and they have a team of people here, which is Nicole Fearman and her team, my wife and my boys, and we ride around and we purchase gift cards from local businesses right here in town. And we then give those gift cards to families in need. So we work with Todd and Tamara and the child nutrition team to make sure that they are getting gift cards. So not only are they receiving food and receiving other supplies from Comic Cupboard, but they're receiving gift cards so that they have the opportunity and privilege of going out to eat as well. And it supports our local business. So all of those communities that have adopted this all together in the last 2.5 weeks, we've raised over $40,000 to support local business. And we really have a heart for supporting our local business because they support us through everything that we're going through. And they're such great partners. Our kids do internships in those local businesses. And so this is our way of giving back to them and using our network to support our local business. So in Mason alone, we have $12,000. Some of the reason for that is when Prasco saw that this was going on, and I know they want to stay anonymous, but they were okay if I mentioned their name, but they put up a $10,000 matching grant to the whole program. And then now we have the Warren County Foundation, who's also looking at the same possibility. So there's a lot of people coming together to support local business. So just want to share that as an inspiration of how a community is stronger together. And as we go through this pandemic, I do believe that there are so many things that we're doing now that I hope to see on the other side of this that continue, just the ongoing support and leaning into supporting each other. And then the last update is we always want to try to create Mason moments. I can't help but just show you this. So I can't help but grab a book, because I have a bookshelf behind me, but we've referenced this book before, The Idea of the Power of Moments. And so you heard us talk about the birthday bus, but one of the other power of moments thing that we want to encourage people is for our seniors. Apparently they gave me a nickname of J Coop. I'm not sure where that came from. I hope it's an okay thing to mention out there, but J Coop, but we're just going to create a little bit of a hangout opportunity. And so we're calling it Project 2020. And for the next 6 weeks, every day around 3:30, we are opening up my calendar to take 10 students into a hangout like this, and they're seniors, and those seniors can come in, connect with each other, because right now, even though we're physical distancing, we are yearning and wanting to connect socially. So we're going to try to connect them socially. And then at the end of our 20-minute time, they have 20 seconds to share their Mason moment from K-12. We're going to capture those in a video form, those 20-second updates. So we'll do that every day. I'll do 3 sessions of that in a row. So from 4, I think it's 3:30 to 5, something like that. And we'll capture that, and then we'll share that out with our community. So seniors and senior families, look forward to that. That's one way that we're trying to connect with our seniors, and we'll have several other ways come out as the time goes on. Thank you so much for allowing us to update everything. I know that our city partners and our township have been fabulous partners in making all of this possible. So I give them a lot of credit for their partnership. I'll hit pause there. And if you have any questions for any of our teammates, thanks for listening. I know that's a lot, but I wanted you to hear a summary of what's going on in Mason City Schools while we've been going through this transition.
Jonathan, thank you. Amy, Christine, Tanya, Todd, Tracy, Sean, thank you all for those updates. I think it is a challenge for a lot of the folks in our community when we are physically distant from one another to wrap our heads around all of the things that you and your departments and your staff are doing to really keep our community afloat. But we really appreciate your efforts. We appreciate the updates. You know, I was taking notes throughout everybody's updates here, and just, you know, it was blown away. You know, I won't go too much deeper, but just wanted to provide a quick thank you to all of you for your administrative commentary before we move on to the next item on our agenda, which is board commentary. And so with that, I will pass it to Desiree.
Thanks, Charles. I won't take up too much time. I know it's a long process on a video meeting, but I did want to take the opportunity to recognize the teachers of Mason with their ability to switch gears on a moment's notice, and the administration's forward thinking that put us in a really good position where we didn't know this was coming, but the preparedness and just the way that our district operates and the administration operates, that we weren't caught in a bad situation. We were able to roll right into remote learning I know they worked really hard to transition to it, but if there wasn't the agility of the teachers and the preparedness and the forward thinking of the administration, this would have been so much more difficult for our schools. I also want to take a moment to recognize the parents in the situation, and especially the parents of the younger children or the ones with special learning needs, because they're trying to juggle life at home and work at home and assisting the kids at home. And I think one thing that's come out of this is we sure appreciate what the teachers are doing in the classrooms and what they're able to do now with still teaching our kids remotely. But I just want the families to know that our support system is still in place and help is still there, even though we're not in person. We're still here to give any assistance we can.
Thanks, Desiree. Matt?
Thanks, Charles. I'll try to keep it brief too, though there's a lot to say about and to reflect upon about the job that everybody's doing. You know, I think we're all going to have lots of deep conversations about what our lives will be like after we get out of this crisis, sort of long term. What does life look like for all of us, you know, individually, our families, our communities, countries? I mean, there's going to be a lot of reflection. One of the most immediate ways that we've been asked to reflect, or we didn't have much of a choice, is to understand and think about and realize really acutely what the role of schools is in our lives. And by having the school experience ripped out of everybody's lives like that, everybody felt what that meant, right? And I think it's opened up people's eyes to know, you know, what we're missing, but also what a special role our school systems and our administrators, and most importantly, our teachers have in our lives and in our students' lives. And so I say that just to frame the idea that all districts are going through this, but not all districts are as lucky as ours is. We are in good hands. We knew that we were in good hands generally, but this is giving us an opportunity in our community, an opportunity to witness firsthand just how fantastic our staff is. So from Jonathan to the administrators on this meeting, right down to our teachers, our building leaders, our food staff, our bus drivers, our staff who cleans our buses. I mean, the ways that people are stepping up and meeting the challenge, and the challenge being meeting human need and human interaction, is just, it's nothing short of inspiring. And you know, I think I will single out Jonathan for this piece. You talk about comic culture, and we've reflected about this a few times, but the work that we've done in establishing and maintaining a unified culture and having our entire district, our entire staff feel like they are a part of something and they all have a role, has set us so far ahead of where we would have been if we didn't have that. And so I just want to thank you, Jonathan, and your team, everybody on this meeting, and so many others for instilling that vision and making it a reality, and for all of our staff for adopting it and embracing it in such incredible ways. And I also wanted to just say thank you, and how proud I am that mental health is right at the forefront of everything that we're doing as we grapple with this and adjust to our new reality. Because the fact is, and I've talked about this in a few different ways, or a few different arenas, the fact is that we're all grieving right now. And grief is a funny thing, right? We're all grieving some level of loss. There isn't a single person who can avoid a sense of loss or something they're losing right now. We're not protected from our relative wealth, our anything about us. There's nothing about us that protects us or spares us from having a sense of loss. And so I just encourage everybody to to know that for themselves, that we're all grieving. You might not even realize that you are. You might not have lost a loved one. You might not know anybody who has the virus, but you're grieving interactions with other people in the district. You're grieving missing a music program. You're grieving maybe not having a graduation. And grief is a funny thing, and it shows up, but it shows up in real ways that are unexpected. And so take time and take some time to reflect on that, understand it, reach out, connect how you can, and get resources to help. And so, and I'll just end real. I know I said I'd be brief. It could have been longer, believe me. On a personal note about just kind of what I've experienced as a parent of young children, this has been an incredible year. I mean, we're always lucky with the experience that our kids have. I'll say my wife Carrie and our children have as a district. I think many other parents feel the same way, but this year has been a year that has touched our family in ways that we didn't expect. It's been an incredible year of learning, of, academically for sure, but on a human level. And I have grieved. I have been so sad that there's a possibility that my kids won't be in a classroom with their teachers and in that environment with the communities that they've built over the year. And I've honestly, one day I was teary. I talk about crying a lot. I'm a big baby, I guess, but something, no joke, dried my tears when I thought about the fact that, yes, that's true. Yes, we're losing that, but holy smokes, we get to go through that with those teachers. My kids get to experience this challenge with those teachers helping them through it. And that honestly dried my tears, because it's true. We're all lucky. This is hard. It's never going to be easy, but thank God we have you all and our teachers and our staff to help us and lead us through it. So we thank you all.
Thanks, Matt. Kevin?
Thanks, Charles. Just a couple quick things. I think this is, it's hard to it's hard to say you run across first when you've been around as long as I have and Connie has, but I think it's about 400 school board meetings, and this is a first, handling it this way. But I do want to say that throughout all that time, through past school board members, Mary Ann Culbertson, Dave Leonard, Debbie Delp, going back through John Odell, Randy Andrews, quite a few people before that have helped instill the importance of developing leadership for our school district. And what we know and what we have had a chance to do is to appreciate that long-term investment that we've made. And in getting this team together, this cumulative team across our entire district, we didn't know we'd have to deal with this. And that's what you prepare for when you try to develop and build leaders. The best thing I think to tell whether leadership is strong is when the crisis hits, where the spotlight goes. And I know all of my board members, fellow board members, have stepped back, and the time that we've already developed the leaders and invest in these leaders was past, and now they had to shine. This was what they had to do. This was their time, and I just appreciate all the things that we've been able to see, and everything the community's had a chance to reap with the leadership from our custodial staff, safety, our partnership with the city, our teachers, our administrators, my goodness, our food service workers who really, it was commented a lot, but for anyone that's watching that may not understand why I thought the schools were closed. Well, we have kids that still need school lunches, school meals, and our school district is doing that every day, and we appreciate that. I think Jonathan or Tracy mentioned Casey Moran with the comic cupboard, standing in the gap where because there was more needs than we could honestly fill, and appreciate Casey and her team. course, she's a master at mobilizing Girl Scouts. So I'm sure there's a lot of young girls that have been involved in that experience that they'll never forget. So I appreciate the leaders all throughout the district, and especially Jonathan, you for marshaling this team to deal with this crisis. So I certainly appreciate that. The levy was also mentioned. We certainly don't pick our times to go onto a ballot. We've been off the ballot for 15 years, and it's not the luck of the draw we wanted to come back on the ballot at a time when we've been dealing with this and the disruption in the election process. But I certainly want to recognize the group at Mason for Kids for representing our district so well, and the interests in the levy. That whole team has adapted fantastically. And I also want to thank those at the Board of Elections. That staff has had to adapt as well, in real time, almost real time up to the minute, to be ready to be agile. A lot of people had signed up to work. Appreciate all those people that were ready to make an in-person election possible, and I appreciate everybody who's now making a mail-in election possible. And then the last part, I want to echo some of Jonathan's comments about our local business. Throughout Mason and Deerfield, I have just been touched by the way that our school community has embraced many of those businesses, and just recognize the importance that they play in our life every day. I'll highlight one. This is not an advertisement, but the amount of charity that is run through the Manor House Conference Center throughout the last couple of decades has just been significant for this community. And Dave and Janet Nelson have done a tremendous job of pivoting and becoming a carry out. And I appreciate, all the families that have made use of that to try to bridge them after they have done so much to bridge so many of our organizations throughout the community. So those are my comments. Again, we'll navigate through this, and I'll just end with, what was touching from the video, which is we will get through this. And I wish everybody well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Connie?
Yeah, I was a little bit not on edge, a little bit anxious as I looked to the board meeting tonight. My concern was I want the community to know that as a school district, we are still educating kids and we are still impacting and reaching out to our community. And I just thought it was important for our taxpayers to know that, and for folks who don't have school age kids to realize what all is going on. And I should have known better that I really wouldn't have any concerns. But as I sat and listened to Jonathan, all of your main departments, and as you broke down the school district, I just started looking at the innovation and the teamwork and the crossover of job responsibilities, cross-training without really anyone having to ask to have that done. The need was there, and our people were just ready to answer the call. And really what we had to do is redefine the term normal. And I feel so blessed that we live in the community, not just of the people that are here and the people that are willing to work our way together through this, but really the support that the community has given the school district through the years. And again, the same people are there for us. Mason has always got people at the ready to help support each other. I think that's always what's made our school district so strong and successful. I've looked at just some of the things that people commented on in their remarks at the end of the meeting. 99% of students are engaged, not just have a laptop or a device, not just received assignments, but they're actually engaged still in their education. Todd, you mentioned a lot of the nearly 7,000 meals that have gone out, and buses and bus drivers who have pretty much volunteered to spend their time on a project like that without having kids that needed to be hauled to school buildings and back home again. The extra cleaning that has taken place. Our cleaning crews have always done a remarkable job in taking such pride in their work. This time it means safety, added required safety for our students and for our staff. And Tanya, I loved your words when you spoke to, we're focusing on the human element of HR. And that was an excellent way to put what everyone is doing in our district. And if you hear a little bit of waver in my voice, it's not all from a bad connection. I have been so impressed the way people are literally holding each other up physically and emotionally. I hurt for kids who may not get to have a prom at all. I'm hopeful we'll be able to pull something together and restrictions will lighten. My mind has gone to graduation and what a milestone that is for families through the years. And my heart aches for people students who've worked hard and now they may have to forego that. But then I look on the experience that we're all going through together, and it is probably the most valuable lesson in education that we could ever give any of our kids. The example that we're recruiting them to help us demonstrate to the rest of the world. This is what you do when times get tough. You don't curl up in a ball and you don't quit. You grab the guy next to you and you help each other make it through the tough time. So I'm extremely proud of the district, the people that we have working in it, and how they even support people who don't have kids in school. They're supporting their next door neighbors. Kids are touching base with seniors and charity projects. And the list could go on, but I'm going to take Matt's road and not, I could go on, believe me, but I will, I just can't express my gratitude to the people of this community enough. I just can't do it enough. I will give Matt, though, the award for the best backdrop for first virtual meeting with his Mason flag in the background. You win that one.
Glad to get it out.
Thank you, Connie. I want to start by, echoing generally what everybody has said tonight. I don't know that there's much more that I could build on to our administrative commentary, our board commentary. I think it goes without saying, but we are all so appreciative and grateful for the first responders and the healthcare workers that are on the front lines right now, making all of this possible, frankly. Without their efforts and ongoing commitment to keeping us healthy, keeping us safe, none of this that we're talking about would be possible. And I think, we have so many of those folks in our community that we are very appreciative of, and just want to say thanks on behalf of our whole district. In that same vein that Matt talked about grieving, there's so many different ways in which this pandemic is affecting people, whether it's from a health perspective, that somebody who has been has been diagnosed with COVID-19, a coronavirus, is suffering through that right now, or you've lost somebody. The Talawanda district comes to mind. I know that we are all our thoughts and prayers are with Mike Davis's family, the treasurer for Talawanda. Everybody has been impacted by this in some way, and also whether it might not be you personally or someone you know personally, but your work, your livelihood has been disrupted undoubtedly, whether it's a job that you have been laid off from, a business that's had to reduce operations significantly, whether you've had to take on the challenge of childcare and teacher at home and supplementing what had previously been at least a few hours of no kids at home. There's nobody that this isn't touching somehow. And so, as Matt said, whatever this pandemic is doing to impact you and cause you to face some challenges and tough times, that grief is natural, and we as a district are really encouraging you to do what you need to do to lean into us, and reach out to, whether it's your teacher, whether it's your counselors or healthcare professionals, our administrative staff, whatever we can do to help the community, we want to be there for you. And I think it's just amazing, the big rocks that Jonathan, you've talked about, the culture rock, how our community has really rallied around the folks who need us right now, how we've been able to pivot and see our teachers go from in-person instruction to a completely different model of education than what they're accustomed to on a short period of time. That doesn't happen without a culture that is built on trust and buy-in and just collaboration and caring for one another. The personalized learning piece, being able to meet people where they are at still. It's not perfect. We know that, and we know that there's going to be hiccups and challenges along the way, but being able to still try and meet all of our learners where they're at, and to advance the ball to the best that we can given the circumstances. I think that kudos to the staff, to the parents, and to the students. That 99% statistic is just really remarkable as far as engagement goes. And it dovetails nicely too into the inclusive excellence rock, because you don't get 99% engagement without equity. You don't get that without being able to deliver, what was it, 1,312 devices to students throughout the district. You don't get that without creating hotspots and providing Wi-Fi access, not just to students, but to the community, to parents who might need to be searching for different resources at this time. All of those rocks are front and center right now, and we are seeing them lived out. We're seeing everybody pulling in the same direction and hanging in together, we know that those rocks are supported by that fourth big rock of finances, and as Kevin said, we don't pick when we go on the ballot to just on a whim, and we certainly don't pick the circumstances that we find ourselves in now. We're attuned to the world has changed quite a bit, but I think that we are all also very cognizant of the role that the schools play in our community now more than ever, and the importance of having these resources in place at a time like this when we absolutely need them, and making sure that we're prepared to adjust like this. I think it speaks for itself. I'll end also with just some last plugs for, again, the Joshua's Place program and comic carryout is just awesome. I know our family has enjoyed ordering from a couple of different restaurants, some places that we haven't before. It's a good opportunity to get some different tastes in the house. And I know that we live in a community that we don't always see eye to eye on things, but we are all trying to find a solution and a way to help one another. And, we've got a lot of great partners in our community. We've got, our township that, Kevin mentioned, Deerfield Township. We've got businesses there. We've got the city of Mason is doing a gift card program right now that folks can go online and figure out how to, order through that. Our Mason Deerfield Maid Chamber is really doing some great work with the CDC, and they're coming up with some solutions as well for our small business community. I think they've also got a takeout blitz page that, if you've run out of ideas for where you should get your next meal, they've got a lot of places on there. All of our community partners, we all live in this community. We're all hoping to see, the other side of this thing whenever that comes. And so hopefully, that's sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that at the end of the day, we all want to support each other through this. And so wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, whatever your means are, hopefully some of us have the means right now to chip in a little bit more than others of us. And I'd encourage you to do that, whatever that might be for you. If you're somebody that needs some extra help, don't be shy. Don't feel, a stigma about reaching out and speaking up. We're all in this together right now. And so that's all I've got tonight. There's no other commentary. The last item on our agenda is the adjournment. So if I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks. Good night.
Thanks.
Thank
Good night.
you.